Each age has its actually what for own, modern, signifies. 50 years prior, that would have been level screen TVs, 24-hour ATMs, and different things we underestimate today. As mechanical development is dramatic instead of direct, modern, in 2019 methods a considerable amount more than it's sponsored at that point. What happens next is anyone's guess now, as logical advancement is quickly leaving even our minds behind. A large portion of us didn't realize that these 10 modern advances were being developed, not to mention effectively in presence. 10 thought-controlled prostheses. Living with a brain-controlled robot arm. Humankind has a long history of going out and doing things that remove our appendages. Contrasted with our initial days, prosthetic appendages have progressed significantly. They're not simply bits of wood dubiously molded like an arm any longer. The present prostheses nearly look and work like genuine appendages. Nonetheless, any individual who has lost an arm will reveal to you that prostheses are nothing similar to the genuine article. Regardless of how cutting edge they get, they actually can't speak with the cerebrum and neural organization. Obviously, that was until science concluded that the time had come to fabricate thought-controlled prostheses, and did. In a trial subsidized by the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, a man from Florida turned into the primary individual to be fitted with a fake appendage that can be constrained by contemplations, obscuring the line among creative mind and reality. Regardless of whether he actually can't do all that he could with his genuine arm, like sprinkle water on it or drive, the arm to a great extent functions as intended. 1. 9 full-fledged 3D printed organs. 3D printers can print nearly anything as long as the diagram and material is accessible. From firearms to instruments to garments, individuals who've been exploring different avenues regarding 3D printing since the innovation came out have done mind-blowing things with it. Some of 3D printing's really cutting-edge applications lie in medication, such as printing and supplanting organs harmed during mishaps. In spite of the fact that we have recently examined a San Diego research firm that effectively printed liver tissue, that was not by and large equivalent to 3D printing organs on the grounds that a human organ is substantially more than simply tissue. Practically the entirety of our organs are so complicatedly planned that even our best machines haven't had the option to reproduce them yet. As of recently, an analyst from Rice University as of late printed a full-scale model of the lung, complete with air pathways and veins emulating the genuine thing. 2. We've likewise come one bit nearer to consummately recreating human tissue. In another lab, researchers had the option to reinvent the cells of our tissues into foundational microorganisms and make a bio-ink out of it. The ink could then be utilized to print a muddled organ, like the heart, precisely like the genuine article. Obviously, this doesn't imply that we're presently ready to totally make a human body all alone. However, these headways are as yet something we never expected we'd have the option to do unexpectedly early. 8 working retinal implants. As indicated by WHO gauges, around 1.3 billion individuals around the planet are determined to have vision hindrance. Large numbers of them experience the ill effects of degenerative retinal illnesses that can't be restored. Totally restoring visual deficiency would unquestionably be viewed as a cutting-edge recommendation, and gratitude to earth-shattering investigation into retinal embeds that entirely copy the natural eye. We may as of now have the tech to do it. As of late, researchers made a retinal embed that works precisely like the genuine article and effectively tried it in rodents. We'd prefer to take note of that eye embeds as of now exist. However, none of them could fix the harm done to the retina, as it's liable for taking the data seen through the eye to the mind. This new tech can fix the eye and be utilized as a trade for the retina and photoreceptor cells, something that was preposterous before. 3. In other examination, researchers have made a 2D material that could be utilized to make a fake retina. Consolidate that with the above inserts, and we may as of now have the tech needed to destroy visual deficiency. In any case, it will be at any rate a couple of more years until it's idealized and made reasonable enough for the general population. 7 digital tattoos. Photograph credit. Futurism.com. You may have known about the different kinds of LED screens that researchers are chipping away at, including super thin, foldable screens that we might have the option to convey in our pockets like hankies. In any case, you might not have heard that something very similar should be possible to skin. In light of late turns of events, we as of now have the material. We're not looking at supplanting real skin. No, these eventual tattoo-like expansions to the skin that would twofold as showcases. In the event that one Japanese examination group is to be accepted, we've effectively built up the material with which it would be made. 4. It very well may be utilized for a great deal of things, such as checking pulses and other well-being readings while associated with an application on your cell phone, putting away open codes for your different gadgets, or essentially filling in as preposterous, bespoke tattoos for truly extravagant gatherings. 6. Grow organs of one species in another. Photograph credit. TheVerge.com. Probably the most serious issue with organ transfers is the manner by which picky the human body is while tolerating something it didn't develop all alone. Yet, there might be an approach to get around that issue. In another living being, you develop the necessary organs that impeccably take after those made by your own body and afterward relocate them. On the off chance that that seems like something straight out of the inaccessible future, we're satisfied to report that it isn't any longer. Truth be told, researchers have effectively done it in mice. In an investigation distributed in Nature, scientists had the option to develop pancreas cells for a mouse in rodents. Also, indeed, they are totally various species. In the first place, they infused rodents with undifferentiated cells and did some other muddled science stuff. At that point they relocated the formed pancreas cells into mice with diabetes. Incredibly, the mice were restored and their sugar levels were held down for 1 year. This method could be utilized some time or another to develop whatever organs we need in other animals. 5. 53D printed nanobots. Nanobots have been envisioned in famous fiction just as the fantasies of sprouting researchers for a long while now. In principle, we'd have the option to construct robots so little that they could enter the circulation system and do minute tasks inside the body, as physically killing malignant growth cells. We've talked about some advancement in that field previously, however these gadgets weren't in fact minuscule robots. All things being equal, they were collapsed DNA strands from another organic entity, regardless of whether they could be called nanobots in every practical sense. All the more as of late, researchers from Hong Kong created 3D printed nanoscale robots with foundational microorganisms, nickel, and titanium and effectively utilized them to convey malignant growth cells to a particular area in mice. Obviously, the ultimate objective ought to have been eliminating the malignancy, however that wasn't the thing they were trying. They needed to check whether the bots could convey a payload to an exact area and utilize disease cells since they are the simplest to track. 6. 4. Sending taste over the internet. Send somebody lemonade, through the web. The internet has changed our lives. We would now be able to see and hear what's happening in various pieces of the world simply by clicking a couple of catches on our cell phones. Nonetheless, we can just send data that draws in our feelings of sight and hearing. It's actually restricted by the nature of the account gear and the ability of the individual chronicle it. We have no chance to get of sending, for instance, what we smell through the internet. In any case, we're one bit nearer with taste. In an examination led at the University of Singapore, specialists had the option to effectively send a proportion of acridity of a lemon drink to a glass of water in another area. They even had individuals test it out. Albeit most conceded that the virtual lemon taste was somewhat less sharp than the genuine article, the members were to a great extent ready to recognize the taste. Obviously, this has just been tried on a lemon as of now and analysts can't replicate the genuine flavor without reproducing olfaction. In any case, it's pretty unbelievable. 7. 3. Self-healing skin. Mileage is a significant issue for each industry, regardless of whether it's assembling, engineering, or medication. Everybody needs to acknowledge that things will separate with time, and we need to consider that when planning things. The issue is particularly observable in the human body, which gets more fragile and more inclined to wounds as we age. In the event that some new improvements are to be accepted, we're not going to have that issue for long. Researchers at the National University of Singapore as of late built up a self-mending material that emulates the skin of a jellyfish. The skin can fix itself not long after being cut or torn and can even withstand coming into contact with water. While those with more unreasonable personalities could consider this to be the following stage to building practical sex robots, it has many different uses also. It tends to be utilized to make reasonable prostheses, which could be joined with the recently referenced idea-controlled instrument to construct counterfeit appendages better than our genuine ones. This electronic skin is additionally supportable on the grounds that a material that can recuperate itself shouldn't be disposed of as waste. 8. 23D printed food. Photograph credit. Nexter.org. In the machines versus people banter, plainly we will lose many positions to our metallic partners as time advances. It's not all hopelessness, however. It's simply one more piece of the quick innovative advancement of the most recent couple of many years, which has likewise caused us in numerous everyday issues. Nonetheless, we accept that a few positions will consistently be carefully human undertakings as machines could always be unable to do them. Cooking is certainly one of those positions, as it's absolutely impossible that a machine would have a thought of the correct fixings and extents to make food taste great. In any case, machines have effectively demonstrated they can do it too, as we can. As per Natural Machines, a 3D food printing organization, we as of now have the innovation needed to 3D print food, things like burgers and pizzas. Foodini, as their machine is called, is fit for taking fixings and transforming them into dishes that taste as great as those made by individuals. Best of all, the organization is currently zeroing in on well-being food and new ingredients. 9. Numerous different firms are presently creating machines that give you the alternative to 3D print food things at home. 1. Remote touching. Educate. Interacting with a dynamic shape display. A major constraint of completing things is being there to do them. We realize it seems like a philosophical and restless contention, as you clearly need to go spots to get things done there, like purchasing goods. In any case, numerous analysts are working diligently attempting to beat that impediment, regardless of how unimaginable it sounds. Envision an existence where you could have intercourse with somebody across the world like you were there, or lead a distant meeting with a rendition of yourself that could reproduce all that you do, including taking care of things from a long way away. The idea is advanced to the point that we aren't even ready to fold our heads over how it very well may be conceivable. Notwithstanding, an innovation created by analysts at MIT is now ready to do precisely that. Generally known as Inform, it's a shape-moving interface that can take contribution from a far-off area and accurately repeat those activities in another. Illuminate is just the name of the interface, however, as they're currently constructing many different applications on top of it. 10. Take Materiable, which is one of those applications that permits you to distantly deal with objects and has even been effectively tried in the lab. It's ready to copy the properties of a great deal of materials found on Earth, similar to sand, water, and elastic. Far off taking care of is just one of its applications, as we don't know all that it very well may be utilized for yet. Peruse additional intriguing realities about cutting-edge advances on 10 futuristic technologies that are revolutionizing our world, and 10 futuristic technologies of symbol that we already have. Times.